Hello there.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Orlando for the United States Bridge Championships. This is segment 4 of 8, and we have Mextros Rotwell, East-West in this room against Sam Lev and Gary Kohler. And good afternoon and evening to my co-commentators, Karen Allison and Larry Cohen from USA.
Good to be here, Roland. Larry, nice to see you again.
Hi, Karen. Roland, looking forward to this. This is a very exciting table we should be watching. And when we get a chance, I'm sure we'll talk about some of the players. But meantime, we have a deal to discuss.
Yes, and sadly we don't have Walter Johnson anymore. Big Train, who passed away a couple of months ago. I'm pretty sure that Al Hollander will be here instead. He knows a lot about the East-West methods. How familiar are you with the Meckwell system, Larry?
I'd say pretty familiar over the years watching. I can't say I know what's on page 674, but I know the basics of the system, if we can just stick to the first round or two of bidding.
Well, there's certainly a very playable heart suit slam East-West here.
Yes, because of the Jack 10-9 of hearts, it makes it quite a good slam. And as we can see on the lie of the heart suit, nothing bad is going to happen. So 6 hearts should make. Mectros and Rodwell, of course, play a strong club system, their own homebrewed system. The 1 spade opening bid is a natural 5-card major, but a limited hand, limited to 15 points. And they do play a 2/1 game forcing. I assume Rodwell will start with 2 diamonds. Mextros will bid 2 hearts, and we might even understand this auction.
For a while, for sure.
This is the way I would have bid it with my grandmother, except she might not approve of the opening bid with only 10 high card points.
Well, we'll put Grandma West so she'll understand.
Well, and Grandma taught me bridge, so this is meant in a nice way.
Right, just making sure that we are getting through to our listeners loud and clear.
Okay, well, the fact that Mech pointed to 2 spades, those of you listening, you can also read the commentary, and our viewgraph operator has told us pointing to it usually means it's alertable. So we might think that's 3-card spade support. It might mean something else. In fact, for all we know, it might show heart support. This might be on page 672.
I see Barnett Schenkin in the room, so maybe he'll do some of the written commentary. Can't see Al Hollander, so we'll have to do without him. But, you know, Larry has seen them in action so many times, and so have I, but I'm not really familiar with, when we come down deep into their methods, I'm kind of lost.
Yeah, well, once we get to the 3rd or 4th round of bidding like this, it's just really a matter of a bunch of artificial stuff, and I don't know how many of the listeners, I mean, I'm sure a lot of them want to know bid for bid what each bid shows. I suspect in about 2 or 3 more rounds of biddings, they will land in 6 hearts, which is a much better contract than 6 spades, because you can handle a 4/1 spade break. The percentage play in the heart suit is to take 2 finesses, lead the Jack of hearts, intending to finesse, and then later lead the 10 of hearts, intending to finesse, and you will lose to King-Queen Doubleton offside on your bad days. If it's King-Queen third or fourth offside, there's nothing you can do about it.
As usual, you are most welcome to ask questions. Click on my name and you'll get through, and I'll relay the questions to Larry and Karen.
When you see the view graph operator saying they point to 3 spades, let me point out that they're both behind screens. They're with one person on the side of their table is their opponent, and you don't say alert, and you don't really do anything other than you point to it kind of and make sure your opponent sees it, and that means that it's alertable. And if they want to know what it means, you write it down on a piece of paper for them. There's no speaking at all.
Now, Larry, would you like to elaborate on the serious 3-note trump and the qubit instead of the serious 3-note trump?
Sure. I see in the written commentary, Barnett has written they need 3-2 spades. I don't see that. I think in 6 hearts, you don't need 3-2 spades. But oh my goodness, this is a surprise. I thought they would reach this good slam. So this is one of Rodwell's inventions. In a slam auction, when you are control bidding, and you've clearly agreed on a major, I suspect they had agreed on hearts somehow, that 3-note trump can't be a playable contract, so it's used as a Q-bid in a way, an artificial Q-bid, and that leaves free an actual Q-bid to mean something else. And the way Rodwell first wrote it, 3-note trump showed a good hand, and Q-bidding showed less of a hand, but I believe they've since inverted that.
Well, do you think that 4 clubs was serious? Because if it was, I don't understand the sign-off. So I actually think they're playing the original method.
Well, unfortunately, we don't know what all those bids meant between 2 hearts and 4 hearts. But assuming West had somehow set hearts as trump, I would think it is a matter of how serious that control bid was. And in all fairness to them, it wasn't a great... The reason slam was good was the 10-9 of hearts. Without the 10-9 of hearts, it was just an okay slam. And they were off king, queen of trumps and an ace. So it's not an easy hand to get to.
No, and they also stopped short of slam at the other table.
It's hard to diagnose Jack 10-9. That's the problem.
Can I say just something here about serious 3-note trump and non-serious 3-note trump? That some partnerships shifted and reversed the meaning. And I think, if my memory serves, that even Rodwell thinks that it's better to reverse it. And let 3-note trump be the non-serious slam try and the qubit the serious slam try.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Roland. The way he originally wrote it, he later decided it was better the other way. Okay, so we have another light 5-5 in the majors opening, and these days it's just normal for these players to open such hands. I actually think this hand Kohler holds is not quite as good as the one Mextruth held on the first board, but it's just normal bridge these days to open these hands. I suppose 2-note trump by Mextruth was natural. I wouldn't like having only ace empty third of spades, but since it wasn't alerted, it's probably natural.
And there you go. Combined 22, 3-note trump, their speciality.
Wow, that's quite a bid by Lev. Vulnerable against Nod, based on what, I wonder?
Yeah.
On the other hand, 4 spades, it's not down yet, is it?
No. If you take... Can you take the right view in hearts? Do you have... Yes, do you have enough entries to take the right view in hearts? A double finesse?
On
But
this
you have so many
auction, he
things
might
to
get a
do.
heart lead. He might get a singleton heart lead, go over to the ace of diamonds, and if he guesses, he'd have to guess to play a spade to the king. Mextra, though, might hop ace and give his partner a rough, but I could see four spades of making, so Lev's judgment here was incredible. 3-no trump on a spade lead has 8 top tricks, but wow, 8 top tricks, and yeah, I guess that's all he would make in 3-no trump. On a spade lead, he would get 2 spade tricks, 6 clubs for 8, and so 3-no trump was going to go down on any lead.
Do you think Rothwell contemplating 4-no trump here, Larry? Which will be natural, of course.
Yeah, except the last time he bid 4-no trump on an auction like this, he was doubled down 10, I think. Do you guys remember that last year?
Against Sweden?
Yes.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yes, I remember. Maybe he's thinking of going back to clubs.
Well, I don't know that he can do that because Mextroth never supported clubs. I know 2-no trump would imply some sort of a club fit, but I don't think he can just bid 5 clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, Lev's auction is extremely inconsistent. I mean, to bid only 2 spades and then voluntarily bid a vulnerable 4 spades, I guess he sniffed out his opponents probably had long-running clubs. Therefore, partners' values are fitting him in a red suit, which in a way they kind of are. He also probably figured the spade honors would be on side from Mextroth's 2-no trump bid, and on a spade lead against 3-no, Mextroth might win, say, ace-queen of spades and have 6 or 7 tricks to cash. So I guess it made some sense. I can't say I would have made such a bid myself.
Yeah, quite a view Lev took here. 4 spades vulnerable.
I could easily see 790 here. I mean, even if Rodwell leads a high club, he's likely to shift to a singleton, and that'll solve that suit. Kohler will cross to dummy and play a spade.
On the other hand, when he sees dummy, Larry, he knows where the declarer's side suit is, doesn't he?
Well, he doesn't really know. Declarer could be 6-3-3-1, for example, right? I guess that would make, no, he couldn't be that. Mextroth did bid 2-no trump, so I bet Declarer maybe could be 6-4-2. I don't know. I don't know that he has to have hearts.
Nice new BBO feature. Click on Mextroth, for instance, and you get a biography, a picture. Same with Rothwell.
Well, you see what the viewgraph operator, wrote. I'm glad I didn't say that, but it's amusing. Well, this is one of the strangest auctions you'll ever see, but there it is.
The other room that took the save in 5 clubs, if it was a save, undoubled, 150. So this could be a major swing in the Mahaffey direction. Oh. No.
No.
The 6 of hearts led, so hearts, 6 hearts
It's
was
the
entered
lead,
as
not
a
the
bid.
contract.
Yeah, well, if you had a choice between leading it or bidding it, I approve of leading it. So for declarer, this is going to be very easy to read as a singleton. Why else would West be leading a heart? Not to mention Mextroth's 2-no trump bid, so he knows the heart layout. The question is, can he play a trump from dummy and still eventually get his club ruff in dummy? He's now opening himself up to that heart ruff, but then if he guesses spades, he'll be okay, because the queen of spades will fall. It's certainly more comfortable to play this contract not doubled.
If they're still playing upside down suit preference, could be the 10, which he didn't have to play, might be an indicator for clubs. We'll have to see. And
well,
then
I think he
the
just stuck in.
Becomes very interesting.
Cameron, I think he just stuck in the 10 of hearts, not as a signal, but just as a third-hand play. Maybe his partner led from 3 to the queen. I know that doesn't seem likely, but if his partner had, say, ace of clubs and didn't want to lead from ace-jack of clubs, he might have led a heart from 3 to the queen. So I think Mextra played the 10 of hearts not necessarily as a signal, but just third hand to drive out the ace if his partner led from the queen.
Well, this is interesting. Now, even if Rodwell lets it go, declarer can make, if he reads it.
Right, because he gets a ruff with sort of a natural trump trick. Mextra would win the club, give the ruff, and then declarer would have to guess to cross the dummy and play a spade to his king. Rodwell, though, is afraid declarer has the queen of clubs. Rodwell doesn't know he can duck this card. What if declarer has queen jack of clubs?
Yes, that is a problem. But as you indicated earlier, that 2-note trump will imply a club fit, won't it? That's what
it is, but it could be 10-9 third or 10-9 fourth. But Rodwell did get this right, but he, even after he gets his ruff, still might not set it, as we've pointed out.
Look out later in the week in the written commentary for someone named John Miller, who's a student of their system and who I believe will be helping us with system notes.
Yes, while we're waiting, Larry, perhaps you'd like to say a little about the players at this table?
Okay, although I'd like to, let's digest this trump shift for a moment and see where we're going with it, because we have new information. Then when after we've analyzed this trump shift, Roland, let's, indeed discuss the players. So what do we think about this spade shift? Mextra knew if he gave his partner a ruff, that there'd really be no more chance for the defense. Like from Mextra's point of view, if Rodwell has 2 little trumps, he would trump the heart, and that would be the end of it for the defense. So maybe this low spade play is a brilliant play by Mextra. What if Kohler guesses wrong now? Let's say he puts in the jack, Rodwell wins the queen, and they clear the trumps. Now we're back to, well, Kohler could then make it with a diamond finesse to get rid of his other clubs. Does that sound right?
Yeah. He can't. He can play any spade, actually, as it happens.
Well, if he plays a low spade, which is possible, he's missing the ace, queen, and 10. If he plays a low spade and Rodwell wins the 10, that postpones, then he'll have a trump guess later on. If he later leads low to the jack, he can actually lose 3 trump tricks.
Yes, but he would be on the same guess if Mextra had given Rodwell a ruff.
Well, the king certainly got now helps a club and play a spade, and beautifully done by Lev and Kohler. This is just a really good job to earn this swing, getting to a vulnerable game with 18 points. Kind of a taste of Mextra and Rodwell's own medicine. And now he will take another heart finesse and claim 620. I will describe the players as soon as we get a break. There'll be a new board on the table in a minute. This was a very exciting deal.
Very much so.
Yes, as we expected. So 620. And 10 imps to Mahaffey.
Okay, well, here you would expect a part score deal with the points relatively balanced, 21 and 19. Even these aggressive boys probably can't bid a game on either the north-south or east-west cards. That's a 14 to 16 1-no trump by Rodwell. Mextruth will transfer to spades, and I see nobody disturbing that, so contract will be 2 spades by West. Now, on opening lead against part scores, you tend to be passive, so I would not lead away from my king. I'm happy, in spite of David Byrd and his recent findings and writings, I am happy to lead aggressively from kings against games and slams, but not against part scores. So with Lev's hand, I would probably lead a minor suit here. This auction certainly doesn't call for a trump lead, so I would just lead a minor.
Same auction at the other table, and Bobby Levin led a low club.
Well, certainly a club would set up a club trick right away for the defense. The defense certainly has 2 spade tricks, 2 heart tricks, and the ace of diamonds. So a club lead automatically would set it. We could see it was down 1 at the other table. On this diamond lead, declarer might have a chance because he can throw clubs on diamonds. In fact, I think this lead lets it make, doesn't it?
I think you're right, yes.
Yeah, declarer will play 2 high trumps and then run diamonds throwing losers, assuming he can read it. His other choice is to play for 3-3 spades. So after, let's say the defense wins this and shifts to clubs, declarer will have to guess, I think, whether to play ace-king and a spade or whether to try 3 rounds of diamonds. Notice the opening lead of the 6 of diamonds. As a bridge teacher, one of the most common questions I get is, what should you lead from 3 small cards? And of course the choices are mud, which Lev seems to have led, middle, up, down, or top of nothing, the 7, or low, to show that you have 3 or more of them. And there's no right answer. You would get votes for all 3 of them. Do you 2 have a vote?
I have a vote because I lead 3rd and 5th. So I have to lead the 5, Larry.
Yes, I lead low from 3 small. Hope that partner can work out the rest of it, but I found that that count is important.
That is what most experts do. On this deal, however, it would give Rodwell the count, and he would know to try to cash, probably be able to read to cash 3 rounds of diamonds if he can read it, instead of ace, king, and a spade. It's an interesting play by Kohler. He knows his partner doesn't have much. He knows from the 1-no trump opening his partner has at most 3 or 4 or 5 points. The 9 of diamonds could be disastrous on certain layouts. So Rodwell's trying to decide whether to just play 3 rounds of spades or play another diamond, and it's a little complicated. While he's doing that, I would guess most of our listeners know more about Mextruth and Rodwell, who we can talk about. So let me start with Lev and Kohler. Does that sound good? So north, Sam Lev. Karen, I see your red line. Did you want to say something?
Not really. I was going to say that that's a good idea because they're less familiar to the spectators.
Okay, so Sam Lev of Israeli descent. He's been probably, I guess, mid-60s now. Very feisty guy, short guy with a beard. He can be charming at times. He can be difficult at times. A lot of people have a love-hate relationship with him. He's can be charming. I've been his teammate. At times he can be tough on his partner. He's been around the block. He's won some championships. He's never had a real long-term regular partnership with anyone. That comes with being sometimes a difficult partner. So he's played many boards with many different players. He's played before with Gary Kohler. So that takes care of Lev. And let's get back to the play. Rodwell is he's judged well to continue diamonds.
Yeah, let me just add regarding Sam Lev that he hails from Poland originally, and then he moved to Israel.
I believe he speaks Hebrew, Yiddish, Polish, and English at least. Is that what you...
Yeah, and Romanian, actually.
Romanian, really, that's of interest.
Well, he was married to a Romanian. Same with Migri Campanile, also from Romania originally, via Israel to USA.
So now Rodwell will presumably take the king of spades, and then a spade to the ace, and then play diamonds, throwing clubs.
And in this case, that will work, with the hand holding 4 spades having a third diamond.
Well, his alternative would be ace, king, and another spade, which would work if spades are 3-3 and the defense can't cash too many club tricks. So I know we're looking at the winning solution, but does he know for sure? Can he tell diamonds are 3-3? Well, it sure looks like he's going the diamond route. So this will be a 5-imp swing, 5-imp swing to the nickel team. All basically because of the opening lead, whether you lead from 3 little or 3 to the 10, which is quite random as far as I'm concerned. Leading from the 3 to the 10 was what won the swing for the nickel team. Well, they seem to be dealing a lot of 5-5 in the major hands. That's 3 out of 4 so far. This time West has it. It's been moving around the table. East had it, South had it, now West is 5-5 in the majors. So I think no matter what Kohler does here, Rodwell will bid a lawful 4 of hearts with his 5-card trump support and some shape. When my partner overcalls one of a major and I have 5-card support and a weak hand, I don't always blindly raise to 4, as some people think I do. I need a little shape. I don't do it with 5-3-3-2 garbage, but here Rodwell has the required shape to just bid 4 hearts. So does 5 clubs make north-south? Because they can throw a loser, a diamond loser on the king of spades, whereas 5 diamonds wouldn't make.
Well, South is going to be happy to play in clubs. Question is, how many?
Yes, he might raise to 6, which is not a bad spot. 6 clubs is certainly has play, not with the club loser and the ace of spades. It might even be 6 clubs doubled. So a bit unlucky for Kohler and Lev. This is a reasonable slam to bid.
The only flaw about 6 clubs is that it doesn't make.
Oh, true, and they didn't have room to ask for key cards. If they had, they would have known they're off 2 key cards for clubs.
Even so, it's not a bad slam because one of the key cards they're off is the king of trumps, missing only 2 of them. Although on this auction, I have to admit, it is a good chance it is the actual layout, but how can anyone know that? But, you know, 6 clubs just needs a little racing luck, and it's reasonable to bid it.
The only thing I think Mexstroth can be thinking about is whether to double this.
Yeah, he's not thinking of sacrificing. Well, the reason to double would be if, like, for example, you can set it 2 tricks, and the other table's in 5 clubs, down 1, and they're in 6 clubs doubled down 2. That's a nice pickup for the double.
So this is a rather quick one down. In the meantime, I'm asked about David Bird's books on leads, the titles, and the titles are Winning No Trump Leads and Winning Suit Leads.
So while we have a minute, well, I guess we won't have a minute as this deal's about to end. I'm sure Mexstroth was delighted to see the ace of spades hold and no ace of clubs in the dummy. He just knew in a second that he was setting this.
What did you say about 5-5 in the majors before, Larry? Here we have another one.
Well, now it's that's 4 out of 5. We need an investigation.
And of course, it's going along with long minor suit holdings in the other direction, making for some interest for us.
All right, so here you would expect north-south to reach 4 of a major and east-west at these colors to then go to 5 of a minor.
1 diamond is 2 plus cards, 11 to 15, can be won if they are dealt 4, 4, 1, 4.
Now it'll be a question of methods. What does Rodwell have available here? He doesn't know his partner has real diamonds. Does he have some way to show this kind of hand? Not many people do have such an agreement. What do you two think about the Michaels bid with an intermediate range hand such as this? I know some players like their Michaels bids to be either weak or strong, not middle like this.
Well,
exactly.
Personally, I don't bid Michaels with this hand.
No, the reason I don't with intermediate hands is that I don't know. When partner bids 2 hearts or 2 spades, I don't know if we have a fit or not. In other words, I don't know if I'm good enough to bid again.
And partner never knows how many to bid if you can have a hand like this. I think it should be either a really good hand, we saw one earlier today, or a weak hand with playability, with decent suits.
But so what Roland and Karen are both saying, and I agree with them, is if you make a Michaels bid with this hand, how is your partner supposed to know with, say, queen third of spades and an ace or something and a king to try for a game? If he has like some useful 8, 9, 10 points hand, he's not going to know you're this strong. He might bid only 2 of a major, and then his Kohler or South's going to bid again.
Well, apparently Mech will have a way to deal with this 2-no trump, perhaps showing both minors.
So I don't think North-South are going to be allowed to play in 4 of a major, but if they do, they're going to need their queen guessing shoes on. So assuming 2 no-showed minors, Mexstroth isn't going to wait around for his opponents to bid their vulnerable game. Just bid it right away, 5 diamonds, and not surprising at all.
Which method did you and Burke have available with the West cards after 1 diamond, 2 diamonds?
Oh, I never really liked our methods. We just had, I would say they were pretty poor methods, let's put it that way. But we remembered them. There were many areas in our system, this being one of them, where we played inferior methods that we could remember instead of the right methods that we would forget.
Right, so what would 2-no trump be for you on this auction?
I have to do it back. We haven't played in 4 years. I still believe I remember it, though. 2 hearts and 2 spades were tying cupids, and 3 clubs and 3 diamonds were natural and non-forcing. So 2-no trump would have been natural, which is ridiculous, but that's what it would have been.
So with an undefined length in diamonds, I think 2-no trump showing minors is really useful.
Absolutely. There's so many things we could have played, should have played, but didn't play, and instead just wanted to never have accidents, and that worked well enough. If we had good memories, we would have played a lot more stuff, including this 2-no trump to show minors. Makes a lot of sense. But how often does the auction come up? A diamond, 2 diamonds, 2-no? Well, now we've seen it.
Well, I sat on an airplane in front of Meckwell one day, and for an entire flight all the way across the country, they did nothing but talk about these sorts of auctions. So this is a very, very hard-working pair, and apparently with great memories also.
Well,
I believe they have
play all the time. Sorry, go ahead,
They have 1,400 pages of system notes, and then they have a summary.
Yeah, I think I would need a flight to Mars to discuss all that stuff, and even that might not be enough time.
No, I like to play about 2 pages of system notes. That keeps me happy. I cannot remember that sort of inflected system.
Yeah, but if you play for a living and you're maybe the best pair ever, and you play all the time, then you can handle it. I still wouldn't do as many pages as they do, but given that they play so much, does make it easier to remember, because all these things come up when you play thousands and thousands of deals.
Now, I'm not getting as many questions as I normally get, so you're kindly requested or encouraged to ask questions if you have any.
Although I will say the deals have all been interesting. Every deal's been interesting, and the questions come in more handy when there's a lull. I haven't even gotten to talk about the other 3 players yet. So this looks like another interesting deal right in front of us. What does North overcall, first of all, at these colors, and does East have a splinter bit available?
Yeah, many pairs can't bid a natural 2 spades here. It would show spades and a minor. So they play the multi-defense to 1-no trump, which is 2 diamonds to show 1 major. Now, do you remember, by the way, Larry, we've been talking a lot about defenses to 1-no trump, and we talked about the 52 I found on the internet a couple of years ago. Now, yesterday, I was told that on David Stevenson's site, David Stevenson is an English tournament director, he has 103 defenses to 1-no trump written down there.
Well, that sounds like a lot. I wonder how many of them duplicate each other or almost do. One of the reasons pairs interfere so much against 1-no trump is not only is it undesirable to defend against 1-no trump, but also it creates problems for the opponents, especially a 2-spade overcall, taking away the 2 level. you'll find that your opponents bid very well when they open one no trump because they use Stayman, they use transfers, and they're very proficient at finding the right contract if left alone. Two spade overcall here is very effective. So I wonder if we can find out what three hearts means.
Exactly. We need someone to explain three hearts.
Unfortunately, we've lost our expert on the system, and the upcoming expert has some business arrangements, I think, the early part of this week. So we don't know.
Yeah, this is one of those areas of bidding that, I mean, no matter how much you write on your convention card, you can't really even write down what this bid means because, as Roland just told us, what are you going to do? Write down your method against 102 different possible ways of interfering? I mean, how can you cover this all in writing, what you play against every system? I can tell you that David and I, this was the one area of bidding we would review before each set of boards. We would look at what the opponents play against our no trump and decide, review what our defense was to it, because there were just too many different defenses out there.
Right. I'm told that three hearts is a transfer. I'm not sure what that implies, but I've got a question for you, Larry. I've been reading Elsie's thoughts on transfer Lebensol. Does he still stand by it as a convention?
Absolutely. I love transfer Lebensol here. Everything on the 3 level by Mextroth in this position would be a transfer. Maybe 3 hearts was a transfer to 3 spades, which means that it was if it went 1 no past 3 spades shortness. I'm just guessing. But yes, I love transfer Lebensol for experienced partnerships. There's an article on it on my website. Maybe I'll post it if I can find it. I think this is going down 500, is that right? Which is okay against 4 hearts.
I'm getting a message from Al Hollander, our own systems expert, who says they play transfer Lebensol, and he believes that 3 spades transfers to 3 no trump, and a transfer to their suit is short in a heart 3 suitor.
Now I'm told by someone who actually knows. It's Stayman with no state stopper.
Ah, a version of Lebensol.
Exactly.
Well, I was happy to see, and this is a tip for many of you out there, if you want to read about something like transfer Lebensol, go to your favorite search engine. In this case, I went to Google. I typed transfer Lebensol, and I was pleased to see the first article that came up was my article on it. You can get many articles on these things. If you want, say, my article, you would type transfer Lebensol plus Larry Cohen, and you would get my article. I've written about just about everything, and put it all on my website for free.
I'm wondering with David Stevenson's 100 and so conventions whether he's also including defenses to those.
Well, what you need to do, Karen, is like have a generic rule, such as after all artificial doubles, you do such and such. Over all artificial 2 club bids, you do such and such. And that takes care of a lot of it. Just ignore artificial doubles and ignore artificial 2 club bids. That takes care of a big chunk of it. And then you need a generic rule for the rest of them, like if the bid shows the suit that it's bidding. For example, if 2 diamond overcall shows diamonds and another, then you treat it as natural. So with generic rules, you can deal with 90% of them.
And basically, that's how I deal with it, and that's an excellent approach, Larry.
Yet, like I just said, David and I had a review I think it's a good idea for partners when you sit down to play a match. The one thing David and I would do, we'd always say, can we see your convention card? I didn't care if they were playing precision. I didn't care what they were doing, but I would always look at what do you do after our no trump, and we would review what we do over it. That was the only thing we would discuss before playing against another pair.
Please tell Larry that his link is out of order. Well, same happened yesterday. Do you remember, Larry?
Yeah, well, there's always trouble with these things. It works for some, it doesn't work for others. Sometimes too many people click it at once and it overloads it. So if it's not working, the best you can do is try it later or try the Google search for transfer Lebensfall. I mean, it works when I click it. I'm using Firefox. Maybe it doesn't work in Internet Explorer.
But if half of our 1,000 people who are watching clicked on that link, it might well fail just at the moment.
Yes, my website's not set up for that.
And here's another question for you. We just heard that the operator said that Sia was yelling at Martel. Is that a joke, or do top-level players really do this? And what about Larry Cohen and David Berkowitz? Did they also yell at each other?
Fascinating subject, Roland. Well, in this room where they're playing, there is another match going on, different boards, and Zia and Chip Martel are playing their match at the next table, so that's how the ViewGraph operator knows. And I suspect it's true. Top players don't usually do that, but unless it was meant tongue-in-cheek, it's possible. Zia every now and then can get testy. It's not normal for him. It's rare, but I've seen it happen. He can yell at his partner, and for me, that's the big no-no. I never yelled at my partner, and they were not allowed to yell at me. It just shouldn't happen, but sometimes it happens.
Yeah, that's basic rules for me as well. It's not beneficial. It doesn't help a partnership at all to have that kind of conflagration at the table.
Yeah, David yelled at me in 1989, the first time we played, and I said to him after the session, David, if you do that, I can't be your partner. And to his credit, he never yelled again for 20 years. Now, of course, when he plays with his wife, Lisa, that's a different story.
Well, a spectator tells me that David's favorite line to Larry was, if I had bid clubs, would you have let us spade? That was David's version of yelling at Larry.
Well, sarcasm was allowed. Can you believe we have another 5-5 in the majors? I think someone needs to investigate the dealing machine here.
I think someone tipped the dealer.
That's
I live in
what,
Las
five
Vegas.
out of
we
6,
do.
right?
It always seems to be Kohler, doesn't it?
Well, this is Kohler's third. I think we've had 5 of them now. I don't know who's keeping track, but a lot.
One was east and one was west, and 3 have been south, yes. So Gary must have some attraction for 5-5 in the major.
We are kidding, of course. These are truly randomly dealt hands.
And to point out they're not being dealt here on Bridge Base, we have a copy of them available for our use. They are dealt by U.S. Bridge Federation or ACBL, whoever is working the tournament.
Karen, that's news to me. We have a copy of them? I certainly don't have a copy of them. How do you get a copy?
You're looking at it right now. BridgeBase gets a copy of the deals so that we can look at them, but there's no physical copy, no, Larry.
Oh, we don't have a cop in advance, and like I can't look at board 55.
No,
right?
no, nothing like that. But we get as they play the board, we get to see the actual cards in our copy. That's the copy we get. It's an electronic copy, and it's released one board at a time.
Oh, okay, because I've often thought it would be nice for the commentators to have, when I used to do live ViewGraph at a tournament many years ago, they would hand the broadcasters the hand records, so we would, have a little advance warning as to what's coming, so maybe we wouldn't look so stupid. We'd have a chance to look at the deals a few minutes before everyone else did, instead of here where we have to analyze live on the spot and be more error-prone.
I remember those days.
Okay, Karen, go on.
No, I was going to say, I remember those days, but now security is considered to be an important enough issue that they don't do that.
Now, meanwhile, Mackwell stole the pot here in 3 diamonds, with 4 hearts being, well, cold in the other direction, and Julie bit in the other room.
So let's see if we can figure out what went wrong for North-South. North opened a minor, and South with 5-5 properly bid the higher ranking suit, although we can see 1 heart would have worked better, but 1 spade is normal. Rodwell overcalled on a hand which, frankly, I would not have. There's not even close. It's so dangerous. So I would not have overcalled with his hand. Then, if had West passed, North would have been in no trump, and at least North-South would have found hearts. I don't know if they would have found game. But Rodwell's overcall, Mextroth's raise, taking up space. Mextroth didn't have to make a Q bid because his partner was a passed hand. Did steal the pot. I don't think Kohler could bid again. I don't think anyone could bid again. So to me, it was Rodwell's overcall that stole this board.
He stole the pot completely.
Yeah,
I mean,
in the other room, Levin and Weinstein had a gadget here. 1 club, 2 diamonds by South to show both majors. That helped a lot.
Yeah, I think it shows both majors with a limited hand. Very useful.
I'm surprised they got all the way to game, though. That was really a good job. Just getting to a hard part score would have been okay. I don't know, Karen and Roland. What do you think of that 2-diamond overcall? I mean, to me, that's quite foreign. I can't argue with success, but isn't that out there?
Well, it's the style these days, and I guess they feel that if they get into the auction, that gives them some competitive edge. And I see it a lot, particularly among the younger players. Now, these used to be the younger players, but nowadays they're the old fogies like us. But I think it's a very difficult style to play against.
And Larry, of course, you know as well as we do that Mac will never leave you alone.
To me, 2 diamonds has 1100 written on it.
Yes. I wouldn't dream of overcalling.
The one thing going for it is in this day of support doubles, it's a little harder to get double. The club pass, a major, 2 diamonds double is not a penalty, it's a support double, but it can go pass double showing cards, and wow, you have, I don't know, you have 3 little in right-hand opponent's suit and 4 to the 10 in left-hand opponent's suit, and wow. Well,
on the other hand, Larry, would it have been outrageous if Kohler had bid 3 hearts over 3 diamonds with a singleton diamond?
Well, the problem is it's forcing, and you know what if partner bids 3? No, you're like an ace light. You're just so light.
And what would double show? Maybe he could double.
I think double would show more stuff.
It would show some values and a hand for takeout. Not a bad choice.
But if 3 hearts is forcing, and I agree it should be, then surely double is not game forcing.
Yeah, but I'd just be afraid the partner leaves it in with like king back third of diamonds in some hand. So, Roland, what do you think you would have done with Kohler's hand?
I think I would have doubled. If partner just did 3 hearts, I would pass.
So Levin, Weinstein not only responded 2 diamonds, but to show majors, but over his partner's 2 hearts, he invited, which could have been way too high. He invited with 3 hearts. So 620 is a huge result for North-South. Yes, I should point out this is another one of Rodwell's many inventions. It's getting more and more popular to play jump responses to minor suit openings to show all sorts of two-suited major type of hands. As to the exact meanings, pairs play them differently. Over a one-diamond opening, for example, two hearts is the weak hand with majors, two spades is the strong hand with majors, invitational or better. And the reason for this treatment is it's very hard to get both majors in, as you see, in standard, because let's say Salp has both majors, 5 spades, and 4 or more hearts. He responds a spade, and over partner's rebid, if his partner's next bid is no trump, then it's easy to show the hearts. But let's say it goes a diamond, a spade, and the opener rebids 2 diamonds or 2 clubs, the responder can't show the hearts. It creates too strong an auction. So that's why Rodwell decided to get him in right away by jumping.
I guess over 2 diamonds you can bid 2 hearts without too much danger, but over 2 clubs that heart suit can be lost. So this is a brilliant solution for that hand.
It's not really a problem when you have 5 hearts and 4 spades, because you can respond 1 heart and you usually don't lose the spade suit. It's when you have 5 spades and 4 or more hearts that convention's useful. Okay, well, no one's 5-5 in the majors.
Right, can we request a redo?
So game here, East-West, not likely to be bid with only, what do they have, 10 opposite 11, although you never say never with Meckwell. Spade game, assuming you have 2 club losers, requires the ace of hearts onside and the spade finesse, so that would be roughly 25%. A 25% game, you need 2 finesses, which both work.
Sure.
Club past a diamond, does that show hearts? Does anybody know?
Yeah, transfer responses to a club are getting more and more popular.
Yeah, they were frowned upon, Larry, in USA a couple of years ago. But, you know, it has caught on, hasn't it?
Hearing from Al Hollander that in an interview, Rodwell credited someone else for this bid, which is sort of reverse Flannery, which he calls something else, maybe Prospero. I'm not sure, but at any rate.
I'm sorry, Karen. Rodwell coined the term judo, which stood for something like unusual, major, jump over, opening, something or other like that.
Maybe he was the one who actually invented it.
Judo, yeah. That's...
John Miller, that's his name? Prospero?
No, it's Al Hollander who's telling us this.
Yes, but Rodwell says that he didn't invent it. So it is someone else, and that could be Johnny Miller. The one commentating here, Prospero, because he knew all about the abbreviation, as you see.
Interestingly enough, I see on their convention card, Lev and Kohler do play it, but only after a 1 diamond opening, or they could have used it on the previous hand. They don't play it after a 1 club opening.
I wouldn't be surprised if the big game here, 2-no trump is a strong spade race.
Well, there's nothing about Rodwell's hand that's oozing game. He's got a flat 10 count.
Yeah, but remember his vulnerable 2 diamond overcall on the previous hand?
So he's got extras for a 1 spade overcall. It's a funny thing when you talk about hand evaluation, and my students always ask, how do you count for 10s? Are 10s worth something. Well, on this hand, East-West have all the 10s, and it turns out 3 of them you can tear up. They're useless. And the 4th one, the 10 of spades, is the key to making game. You just never know in the bidding which 10s will be good and which won't.
Just like that hand, that slam hand, where Jack 10-9 of hearts was going to make a slam. Good.
Right, and one general rule the experts use is when you're thinking about a slam or even game bidding is look at the quality of the trump suit. Having Jack 10-9 fifth or Queen Jack 10 fifth instead of Jack empty fifth or Queen empty fifth, that makes a big difference. You know that the 10s and 9s in the trump suit are quite likely to matter, whereas in a side suit here, they might not be worth anything.
And a question from a listener. What's the difference between the cheaper cue, the expensive cue, and 2-note trumps in this auction? By Maxwell.
No doubt.
He could have bid 2 clubs, 2 hearts, and 2-note trumps.
Yeah, Roland, no doubt that's on one of the pages. The rule I like to use for this is quite simple, that the 4-trump cue bid, with the 4-trump cue bid, you are willing to get to the 3 level, so you go the higher route, assuming you'll have law of total tricks protection. So David and I would play the higher cue bid when there's a choice, shows the 4-trump raise, and it's kind of easy to remember it that way.
Now, someone looked it up, about the major jumps, and the convention unusual major jump over one of a minor opening, the UMJOOMO, was presumably invented by Dr. Raghavan from India and popularized by Maxwell and Rothwell.
One of the things that could be very well be right, but so there's always a discussion about the origin of conventions, and I mean even the most famous convention of all, Stayman, I think most people know was popularized and written about by Stayman, but invented by George Rapet, and you just never seem to know who started it first, and you could argue that for almost every convention. Who thought of it first?
Oh yes, we have plenty of examples. Truscott, Jordan, same thing, after one of the major double 2-note trumps. Jordan in North America, Truscott in Europe.
Sure. How about Hamilton and Cappelletti?
Cappelletti, yeah.
Yeah, just about every convention you could argue about who did it first. Not Blackwood, though. Blackwood was easily Blackwood.
I played with Jan Stone for a while. This is going back into ancient history. And on our convention card, and this I found most amusing, over 1-note trump they used the Ross Stone 2-club convention. That was Stayman. And they used the Ross Stone this and the Ross Stone that. Every convention was defined as the Ross Stone something convention, and every one of them was known to me by somebody else's name.
Well, it's possible for negative doubles they wrote Sputnik then, because that's what it was called 50 years ago.
In 59, actually, when the first Sputnik was launched.
I played with Jan back in the 60s. And we actually won a national championship.
When I teach negative doubles, I ask if anyone in the class remembers Sputnik and before negative doubles, and a lot of them proudly put up their hands. They're not shy. Okay, so what's going on here? 1 heart, and North had a very normal takeout double. East, in the modern style, bid 2 hearts. He was afraid to bid 3 hearts, vulnerable with that garbage. And wow, Lev has done a lot of bidding. He's dragged his partner into this game, which, with this lie of the cards, is going to do quite well.
Well, just missed a cold grand slam. Come on.
Well, his partner
Lev
could have had nothing.
He's not a shrinking violet. He just takes the bull by the horns and goes with it.
His partner could have had just, 3 little, 4 little, 3 to the jack, and 3 little, I guess. His partner rates to have 4 diamonds, and I guess if his partner has 4 little diamonds and out, game would have play. There's something we like to use called the balanced Yarborough test. So what Lev could say to himself, well, what if my partner has 4 little diamonds and nothing else? Does game have play? And, well, almost.
Yeah, he could have, if diamonds are breaking, then he has a diamond entry to his hand to make some plays towards the black suits, and maybe rough one back to his hand for a play in the other suit. So
but Larry, don't you think that 3 diamonds showed values here, that they are in a Leventhal situation?
Well, I don't know, Roland, because I would play here 2-no trump. I wouldn't play Lebensoll here. I would say 2-no trump says pick a minor. So I would use 2-no to bail out in a minor.
At a scramble.
Exactly. So I don't think it was a Lebensoll situation. If it was, that would explain his bid for sure. Then 3 diamonds would show more than 2-no Lebensoll. So Lev has won his side 2 games, 2 swings here on the first board and this board, and in between, pretty much went the other way.
No, this is going to be flat. We have the result from the other room. 5 diamonds.
Oh, right. Oh, I see. I didn't think they bid it. Yeah, I'm sorry, and I meant the second. I'm sorry, I meant the second board. So how did they bid it in the other room? I guess we can take a look.
Identical auction, wasn't it? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Same auction.
So both North players went for it. Well, like Roland said, if they had the hand records, they would have raised it to 7 diamonds. This is one of those things, I hate to say it, but not everyone realizes. If you look on the hand record afterwards, and the hand records for this are available online, it will say North-South can make 7 diamonds. And I just always warn people against taking that too seriously. It doesn't mean you should bid 7 diamonds. It just means it can make 7 diamonds. So when you've finished your session and you see that little hand record says 7 diamonds, don't sit down with your partner and figure out which one of you should have bid it.
But it's quite amazing that you have 13 tricks here with a wasted king of hearts in the Southampton.
And we don't use the double dummy analyzers when we're talking about these hands as commenters, because the double dummy analyzers see all the cards and are able to evaluate how to play in order to make the maximum number of tricks. But we try to put ourselves into declarer's shoes and see how we would play in that contract.
In this case, all 3 of we dummies can see 13 tricks by finessing the spade and getting back and forth and the club to the 10. Really no reason not to play it that way.
Well, I expect this to be a push board.
Okay, so now that we have a minute, there's been non-step action here. Let me talk about South. Gary Kohler from the Midwest, who spent many years in Chicago. He moved to Florida about 10 years ago. He has also, like Lev, a bit of a nomad as far as not having a regular partner. He's had many, many different partners. He's been a bit of a free agent. He often plays with the client on the team, with the person paying the bills. Here, he's actually playing with Lev, not the team sponsor. So he's a bit of an individualist. He's kind of aggressive as a player. He's a very fun guy. Everyone seems to like him. He has probably won about 5 national championships. Very talented player, underrated, probably not well known on the national stage. he and David Berkowitz played together every year in the Grand National teams in the spot I vacated, and they're pretty famous for what happened last year when they bid a walk-off Grand Slam. They won the national event by bidding a Grand Slam off 2 aces on the final board of the event. One of the deals you'll remember 10, 20 years from now in bridge history.
I remember. So tell us about Max Gross and Rodwell also, Larry.
Oh my dear, how much time do we have for Mextrup and Rodwell? Well, I guess we'll look at the new deal, and next lull I will try to do justice to Mextrup and Rodwell. Probably won't have enough time though. Next deal, please.
They're probably taking a break. So go ahead.
Okay, so Mextrup and Rodwell, arguably the best pair in the world, maybe of all time. You could get an argument, but they have been partners for more than 30 years now, and they have the record to back up that claim. So, you know, if anyone wants to argue they're not the best pair ever, you can argue, but I happen to believe they are. They have an incredible system, very extensive. They are both aggressive players. They're aggressive bidders. They're known for bidding games on nothing and often making them. They're both brilliant declarers, brilliant bidders, brilliant defenders. They are friends. They get along quite well. They will not argue at the table. And they are very tough to play against. I have the scars to prove it. I would guess I've played 500 deals against them, and it is not easy. How'd I do?
Well done inside 1.5 minutes. Yeah, well done.
Okay.
Strong
well,
club.
An excellent synopsis.
And of course,
I would say
their
that
system strong club.
Yeah, I would say that Rodwell's recent book on declarer play is perhaps the best book on the subject that I've ever waded through.
For experts, I wouldn't want intermediate players digging into it. I think it's too, you know, over the top. As far as it's a very high level advanced book, and for that level, I agree with you, Karen. It's quite good. I would rather intermediate players buy something like Watson's Play of the Hand. Sorry, Eric, if I'm costing you book sales.
Even for beginners, Watson is a great book and one worth revisiting many times.
Now let's read what Johnny Miller writes here, because he knows the system in and out, as we can see. 1 heart showing 5 hearts, 8 plus
spade,
points.
One spade showed 5 hearts.
1 spade, sorry. 2 diamonds, clubs, 2 spades, no fit for clubs and no extras. 3 clubs. I have more clubs.
And a very good auction to a very normal spot, which I guess is not lay down. And in fact, on a heart lead and a diamond through and another heart and a diamond through, but who in the world would do that? It's a very normal lead on this auction, and declarer will claim 1,000,000 tricks. He might not, I don't even think he'll play it out. He'll play 1 round of clubs and probably just throw it in for 11 tricks. I don't think it's Mextros style to torture them. And even if he starts to torture them running the clubs, Lev will just say, I'm keeping the ace king of hearts. So, yeah, he just threw it in. Mextros pretty good about that. I find when you're playing a long match against him, he doesn't waste time on over tricks. I know some of these deals are swung by 1 imp, but Mextros, I guess to his credit, just kind of will not bother you by taking 5 minutes for an over trick, or he'll announce. He'll say, Larry, he'll say to me, Larry, don't worry, I'm just playing for an over trick. Sometimes he would do that.
Now here we have 6-5 in the majors. Is that a strong club for them, do you think? Or is it 1 spade?
No.
Good question.
No, not a
I
club.
think 1 spade. What do you think, Karen?
I think a spade. I don't think this is a one club bid by any stretch.
It might be worth one club, but you're just subject to preemption, and you can open one spade and then jump in hearts to get your hand off your chest much easier than opening a club, especially if they preempt you. But we'll see.
And if you open a club, partner is likely to misevaluate some high cards in suits that don't interest you.
So here, maybe it can go, for example, a spade and no trump 3 hearts. If they play, that's natural. And in standard, that would be a game-forcing jump shift. But since they're playing a strong club, the one spade opener is limited, so he can jump with a hand like this to show a maximum non-strong club opener.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell us, because you played a strong club for so many years, Larry. Is it one spade or one club for you?
Oh, for me, it's definitely one spade because the hand's subject to preemption over one. It's not like I don't think I'm worth one club. I just think it's easier to show in the same vein that I teach with a strong two-suiter in standard, don't open 2 clubs because it's hard to get the 2 suits in. So in general, with a two-suiter, don't open the strong artificial bid. Open your longer suit and then bid your other suit. And I don't think Rodwell's sitting. Go ahead.
Go on.
Yeah, I don't think Rodwell's sitting there. Yeah, I don't think Rodwell's sitting there deciding what to open. He will quickly bid one spade or one club. He's not huddling.
No, that's a bathroom break. But someone who knows
more likely a cigarette break if Jeff is still smoking.
Who knows the Mackwell methods tells me that it's not even close to one club for them. Even if the King of Diamonds was in the majors, they still wouldn't open one club, he thinks.
So we guessed that one correctly, and now, assuming it's natural, Rodwell can bid 3 hearts, so that I wouldn't put it past these boys. Well, I think we can attribute that 3-heart bid to West, and they'll reach 4 hearts. Mextruth might bid 3 no trump, I suppose.
Yes, unless 3 hearts shows 5-5. I don't know that.
I would assume it does.
Well, even if it does, Mextruth might try 3 no trump. He's got about 12 stoppers in each minor.
And good cards to produce tricks.
It's been confirmed that it shows 5-5.
I'm not even sure what's the best game, 4 hearts or 3 no trump. Probably 4 hearts. But it's not clear how to play 4 hearts, I'll say that. I mean, do you play ace of spades and ruff a spade? Do you give up a club first? It's not obvious how to play it, but with a tame lie of the north-south cards, it's not going to... any road will lead to success here. Declarer will lose 2 heart tricks and presumably the ace of clubs if they take it. Now,
yes,
like this,
which they did not in the other room. And well, declarer can do the same here, of course, on a diamond lead, ace of spades, ruff a spade, and discard a club on the ace of diamonds. Over to you, Larry.
Yeah, an auction like this usually calls for a trump lead because you figured declarer is going to be trumping spades in dummy, and Lev probably would have led a trump, except queen and one's not very attractive to lead from. I have to admit, I might have considered it.
Now, sometimes those trump leads come back. Even if you lose a trick, you get it back in the wash.
Do you remember the Bolts tip from the 80s? The leading trumps, if the auction calls for a trump lead. Sandra Landy from England wrote, lead one, regardless of holding, even from king one, she wrote.
I'm a believer in that in general, unless you're holding in declarer's first suit is like 3 little or 4 little, and you know the ruff you're stopping might be irrelevant because your holding is so weak in declarer's first suit. The general rule, for those who aren't sure what I'm talking about, is if declarer has bid grapes, for example, he's bid grapes and he ends up in some other suit, in oranges, lead a grape, lead a trump, because the dummy usually will have support for the second suit and not too many cards in the first suit, so declarer is going to trump the first suit in the dummy, as here. A trump lead wouldn't have helped on this. A heart to the ace and a heart back, Rodwell would win the king and might end up making 6, actually.
The standard situation is if the bidding goes like 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 clubs, all pass. It's almost a mandatory trump lead, isn't it?
Absolutely, because declarer is going to be trumping hearts with dummies clubs.
And on an auction like that, I had my funniest trick 2 problem ever, as I led the 5 of trumps from king 5 doubleton and held the trick with it.
Would you remember what the layout was around the table? That doesn't seem like a likely scenario.
I don't really. I think declarer just had a little slip of the thumb, but there I was on lead at trick 2. Now with the singleton king of trumps.
Sounds like you would lead it next. In case anyone's wondering about the score here, nickel leading by 43. This is segment 4 of 8, as it shows. They're playing 60 boards today. They're near the end of that, and then 60 boards tomorrow. It's a 120-board match, and the quarterfinal. I think that's very nice, the way they have that labeled now. Roland, I don't remember it ever being labeled as clearly as that on the scoreboard. I think that's a nice improvement.
That's a new feature also, alongside the biographies. The first time we see it. But it's actually the same as written on top of the banner. If you look on top of your screen, it's exactly the same. Do you see that?
Well, actually, I don't see anything above. I see Lev, above Lev. I see options and BBO now. I don't see any listing of...
The top line on your screen.
Up on the screen at the very top, it almost looks transparent.
Yes.
Well, everyone's got a different browser, and you never know, but I certainly don't have it on mine.
Oh, I see. So I see it stops after those buttons on your screen, does it?
Yeah, my top row says BBO, back, home, log off, and there's nothing above it. I feel like I'm talking to the tech guy on the line.
So that may be an issue with some browsers, you know, and that's why they did this. I see.
Well, even though it says segment 4 of 8 quarterfinal, Roland, I'm guessing you get questions. What's the event? What segment is this? How many boards? Not everyone reads.
Well, 5 clubs bid in the other room. A good effort by Levin and Weinstein. A club to lose and a spade.
Very good. Wait, I can't believe West. Don't tell me. Rodwell passes with this hand, and he overcalls with king queen empty fifths, and he passes with king queen 10 9 8 7th. Does anyone understand that?
No.
Didn't we bid 3 diamonds?
But this time he is well against not. Last time it was all well, I think.
Yeah, but this time he has king, queen, and the 10, and the 9, and the 8, and the 7, and the 6. But I hate to question Rodwell's judgment. He has won about 5 million championships.
Well, at this vulnerability, he would be giving away some information and with very little chance of a benefit by a bid. So I can understand his passing.
Well, he would take up 3 levels if he bids 3 diamonds. Let's see, it would go a heart, pass. It would go pass, pass, a heart, 3 diamonds. I do agree, queen third of hearts is a danger sign. It's just that it's not likely to go pass, pass, double, pass, pass, pass when you have such internal solidity. It's not like they're going to dig in to defend when they have ace 4, 3, 2. So this auction
Ace
certainly let
Jack
their opponents out
something.
easy.
What surprises me even more, Larry, is that Maxroth didn't open the hand. I mean, even Mike Purcell in the other room opened the hand. And
Wow,
Maxroth doesn't need much to open, right?
Yeah, that's very. Maxroth opens most 11s. Wow, well, he's made up for it by making a speculative double with his two aces, trying to catch them speeding. That is a horrible hand, though. Second seed well against not with 3 jacks. The only redeeming feature is the 2 aces and the ace 10-9 low. But for these boys, yeah, I am surprised he didn't open the bidding a diamond. Well, it doesn't prove anything, but just for fun, if Rodwell had bid 3 diamonds, it would have gone a hard 3 diamonds, probably pass double. Oh well, Maxroth would have raised diamonds. I think his opponents would have ended up in 4 spades, probably down. So there's only one way to play this trump suit, with or without the double. Declarer has to look at this club suit and say to himself, well, if they're 2-1, I can pick them up all the way. So what if they're 3-0? And if they're 3-0 one way, there's nothing I can do about it. If West happens to have ace jack 9, I have to lose 2 club tricks anyway. So the way to start clubs is low to the queen, not low to the king. In this case, it's all a waste of time because he can't go wrong.
Meantime, we have a question. What is recommended? What is the recommended opening on 4-4-4-1 hands with 22-23 points, playing standard? I'd be curious to hear commentators' take on hands of this ilk. Well, I can start and say that I would usually show it as a balanced hand. Particularly if my singleton is an honor, king or ace. What about you guys?
Same with me. I 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 no, and hope for the best. But you know, if I had like a small singleton or an ace king queen 10 of a major and a singleton queen, I'd probably show the major instead. But in general, I think 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 no is the best of a bad situation. It allows your partner to use stamen and transfers and things. Karen?
Yeah, I agree with that, but if it's 4-4-4-1 with a low singleton, I have been known to open one of a suit below the singleton. Those, bearing in mind that the 4-4-4-1s do not play all that well, I can downgrade that hand and open it 1, and if partner can scrape up a response, of course, I'll drive to game.
I agree. One of a minor roll pass isn't the end of the world when you have so 4 by 1. So is Lev gonna boost his partner here? Maybe not. Kohler was very heavy for the 3 heart bid. I guess Lev was not shy about bidding. So will Kohler now say 3 no trump or 4 clubs?
I don't know. I think 3 spades perhaps shows some tolerance for hearts.
Well, I think it's just forcing. I mean, what would you bid with, say, ace king 5th, singleton 3 little, and ace 4th? What else can you bid, right?
Well, it's surely forcing, yes.
So now Lev will take the false preference back to hearts. It'll go ace of diamonds in a rough. And the defense will also get the ace of clubs and the king of hearts. So this has no chance. Whereas had Kohler bid 3 no trump, that's where he would have played it. And that looks like a make, maybe?
Yes, very close to making, yes, I think so.
Well, when Rodwell doubles, I guess it goes down. Extra's lucky he didn't run into a redouble on the last one. That would have been 800. Neither Kohler nor Lev is shy about such things. So this will be a very swift down one. I don't expect this to take a long time. Quite lucky for Levin and Weinstein and the nickel team here, because they stopped in 3 hearts at the other table. And just looking at the north-south cards, it's quite acceptable to be in this vulnerable game. So nickel's going to gain 8 imps here.
Can you defeat 3? I think you can defeat 3-no trump, as pointed out by a listener. A diamond lead and switch to the jack of spades.
Well, diamond lead certainly probable, and East would win it, and could easily shift to the jack of spades and declare a loser the race, right? He's got 5 hearts, 2 spades, 1 diamond. That sounds right. So 3-no can be set. Not with a club lead, which is what West might lead, figuring he can't really set up his partner suit anyway.
It's been pointed out that the 2 of diamonds, which is should be a suit preference card when you expect your partner to be roughing it, is upside down suit preference, as Meckwell have been playing for many, many years. So it suggests spades, not clubs.
It's so easy for them to remember because they play everything upside down. So why not upside down the suit preference signal? That's how Walter Johnson, the late Walter Johnson, explained it. Everything's upside down for them, even their suit preference signals.
As far as I know, in talking to them, there's no theoretical advantage to playing suit preference signals upside down. There are advantages to playing count and attitude upside down, especially attitude. But suit preference, they claim there's no advantage. It's just what they do. Well, this is a bit annoying for Kohler, the spade play, because aside from losing the king of hearts and ace of clubs, he does have to deal with the 4 of clubs. He doesn't want to go down 2 tricks. So he's got to work something out to avoid losing 2 club tricks here. He's got to cope with this situation. He doesn't really want to finesse in spades. It's likely to win, but he's just trying to figure out how to negotiate his club 4.
Yeah, as we can see, it doesn't really matter what he does because he can take a club rough in comfort because East is unable to over rough the 4 clubs.
But from his point of view, does he want to rough that 3rd club with the 8 of hearts and have it get over rough with the 9? Does he want to trump it with the jack of hearts and then lose an extra trump trick if Rodwell happens to have a bunch of them? So those are the things he's thinking about.
Yes, indeed.
Rodwell had to carefully consider if he could afford that play. I know most defenders would panic and grab that ace of clubs before the mice get at it, but Rodwell has gone through all the possibilities, and no doubt he realizes no matter what the situation, the spade can't hurt in his mind. He knows the ace of clubs can't go away from the auction.
Now a new question here. Could you point out what's the advantages of playing reverse attitude and count rather than standard attitude and count? Larry?
You always give me the tough ones. Well, upside down attitude's the easy one to explain, which is why most good players do use upside down. And by the way, upside down in America is really standard in most of the rest of the world. France and America and a few other countries play that a high one means you like it. Yet in Italy, Poland, Holland, England, a low card means you like it. So what we're calling upside down to international viewers who might still be awake is actually their standard. Anyway, you don't want to signal encouragement would say you have king 10-2, you're wasting the 10. The thinking is when you like the suit, the 10 or 9 might be an important card, whereas when you don't like the suit, the 9 or 10 is probably useless anyway, so you can afford to signal negatively with a 9 or a 10 and it's not going to waste it. So that's the reason for upside down attitude. You want me to take count 2, or does someone else want that? Because count's even more subtle, the advantage.
Yeah, carry on.
Well,
No,
with
go
count,
on.
they say, like, all right, well, with count, the reason I hear, and I'm not sure I buy it, is let's say you have 10-8 fourth, and you have to signal with the 8 to show an even number. That every now and then will be a trick. Whereas if you have 10-8 third and you play the 8 to show an odd number, that's not as likely to be a trick. So I'm not quite convinced that that one's as important as upside down attitude. You'll find a lot of expert pairs just do upside down attitude and don't bother learning or getting used to upside down count.
What you specifically don't want to be doing is signaling with tricks. That's it, for both.
Just switch is a headache. When you do change from one to the other, you get used to having a headache for a few months, especially switching to upside down count. You'll break your wrist as you pull back your signal for a few months.
A popular method in Britain among experts is to play upside down attitude, but standard count.
Yeah, that's how I played with David, just because we didn't want to bother switching to upside down count. I agree with Kohler's one club here. There's a temptation these days to open that south hand 2-no trump, a kind of bludgeoning bid to show the 20 to 21, but there's no reason to do it with clubs and spades. It's such an easy hand to bid naturally. You can bid clubs and then bid spades. So I strongly would disagree with the 2-no trump opener with Kohler's hand. If his other suit was hearts, now we could talk, because it's harder to show the hearts later. So there's a bit of work here in 3-no trump. The hearts are not splitting. There's no entry to the hearts. The clearer will probably play diamonds first. Not even clear what I would lead from this hand. He might get a diamond lead, actually. Might get the 6 of hearts lead. I don't know. What would you guys lead on this auction?
No, East is on lead. He may select a spade.
Oh, I have this backwards. I'm sorry. Getting weary here.
Chose a heart, declarer's suit. Interesting. From nothing, don't you think?
I don't know. I just go on doggedly leading my suits fourth best.
Well, they've bid hearts, they've bid spades. I could actually see a diamond lead. So what is Lev supposed to do here? I mean, this is a tough hand to play. Do you try to set up diamonds first, or try to set up clubs? I can tell you the percentage play in diamonds with this holding. Does anyone know it? Well, he's going to play clubs, so you don't have to answer. Actually, I like Lev's line of play. Look what he's trying to do by playing on clubs. He's trying to take 3 club tricks. He's willing to lose the ace and queen of clubs. I don't know why he played low to the 7, though. I doubt he did that, because he probably played the jack of clubs next. He's willing to lose 3 club tricks. He's willing to lose to the ace and queen of clubs. That gives him 3 clubs, 3 hearts by overtaking, and ace, king, ace. So that's clearly the right way to play this hand, isn't it? Don't bother with the diamonds.
Absolutely.
It's kind of a sure trick line unless clubs are 5-1. He couldn't have played the king of clubs and the 2 of clubs, though. That would lose to 4 2 clubs. He'd be giving them a trick with a small club.
So, Larry, you strongly disagree with Steve Weinstein because he opened 2-no trump next door.
Absolutely, I disagree with him, and I might call him later and, as Zia would say, give him a firing. I really don't like that, Stevie. I'll have to ask him what he had in mind. I know he's a great poker player, but I don't think that's a great bridge bid. Stevie and I go way back. We were actually roommates 30 years ago, so I could ask him and he won't be offended. Stevie Weinstein and I, it seems like Lev did play the 2 of clubs to the 7. That is so weird. I can't imagine that. Anyway, he's going to make the sure 9 tricks. When I was 21 and I won my first national event in Boston, my thunder was stolen because at the same tournament, Stevie was 17 and he won the Life Master pairs. So I was an old guy in comparison. At the time, Steve Weinstein's partner was his stepfather, Fred Stewart, and they played together about 15 years. And then Levin and Weinstein became partners, and Fred Stewart has been playing with Kit Woolsey since that breakup about 15 years ago.
And they've made 2 very successful partnerships that way.
Well, Levin and Weinstein are certainly well known for winning the Cavendish pairs, I believe 5 times, if I'm not wrong, and they've had so much success that they were asked to come onto the nickel team a year ago, which is kind of quite an honor to be on that team. This is their first team trials together. Last year, it was still Hammond and Zia. That was Hammond and Zia's last team trials with the nickel team.
A hardback now would excommunicate De Clara from his extra diamond trick.
Right, but he'll cash the King Queen of Hearts, as was his original plan, throwing a spade from dummy. Then he'll go over to the Ace of Diamonds and drive the other club. So that's his 9 short tricks. He'll just play the King Queen of Hearts.
So that just saves the trick for the defense.
This was well done by Lev. He figured it out fairly quickly that playing on clubs as opposed to diamonds was the right way to go about it at imps. At match points, it's a whole different story.
Right, and we are approaching the last board today, last board of segment 4. Time for me to thank my excellent co-commentators, Karen Allison and Barry Cohen. Thanks also to our colleagues doing the written commentary, Johnny Miller and Barnett Schenken. Many thanks to our operator in Orlando. Excellent job, of course. Very demanding job. Our gratitude to the USBF and Jan Martel in particular. Great show as usual, greatly appreciated by British fans all over the world. And last but not least, thanks to all our listeners for coming this evening in Europe and in USA now. We hope to see you tomorrow when they resume at 10 a.m. EDT, 10 a.m. local time, New York time, which is 4 in the afternoon in Central Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK. Thank you.
I echo all of those thanks.
Thank you too, Roland.
Yes, thanks, and thank you, Karen. Here we have a 2-0 opener that I do actually sort of agree with. It's only 18, is it high card points? 18, but it's worth 20. The 5-card diamond suit alone is worth an extra point, and the Ace Jack 10 I'm in love with, and the Jack 10 low of hearts, I think that end is worth 20 points. So I agree with the 2-0 trump opening.
It doesn't even have to be 20 because 2-0 trump is 19-20 for them.
Right, so it's even more worth it. I would open a 20 to 21 2-0. I think that hand's worth it. So Rodwell transfers to spades. Lev makes a lead directing double, and Mextra loves his hands well enough to make the big bid of 4 hearts, which is kind of clever because it puts his partner on play, and it almost is like serves as a retransfer. Granted, it shows a good hand for spades, but he's putting his partner on play because his partner might have, say, king and a heart, and there's nothing about Mextra's heart holding whereby he wants to be declarer with a heart lead through. So it's a very clever way to retransfer, in effect, not that it mattered on this layout. That's a beautiful fit for East-West. They only have 21 highs, but it's a great 4-spade contract. In summarizing the set, I think it was a very well played set. Kohler and Lev played quite well. They did a few good things, and they were just unlucky, really. They had that swing on board 49 when the slam was so-so but went down. They were a little bit unlucky the way they got blown out by Rodwell's overcall. And on board 58, they were unlucky. So I think the Happy team played quite well north-south here, but unfortunately for them, they lost ground.
Getting late in Europe. 1 a.m. in the UK, 2 a.m. in Central Europe.
Better get your beauty sleep, Roland. It's a long day tomorrow.
Oh, right, beauty sleep. I don't think that'll help a bit, I'm afraid.
How about Fountain of Youth sleep?
Yes.
Or cutie sleep.
So declarer is just going to, well, on this lead threatening a ruff, I think he's going to play ace-king in a spade. He's not going to guess to finesse, because if he guesses wrong, if he loses a spade finesse, then his opponents can also get a ruff and a heart and a club. So he can't take a finesse in spades, I don't think. I think he's going to play ace-king in another.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. If this, yeah, he can't, because if that finesse lost to a doubleton queen, say, they could beat him with a ruff.
Yeah, he doesn't need to play a third spade, but the hands are mirrored in the minors, so there's no pitch with that lovely diamond suit.
But grant you, the ace-king of spades wasn't safe, because if spades were 4-1, he's in trouble, because now we'd have to play another spade, they'd win the queen, and they could still arrange a potential ruff. So it's not like he had a claim by playing the ace-king of spades. He just claimed the spades were 3-2. All right, well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and good night from London.
A pleasure, and I'm also going to ring off from here in Las Vegas, Larry. So I'll see you another session, I hope, or 2 or 4.